Hello everyone, I am here to talk to you about what I know is going to be one of my top videos of 2025, and that is Shantaram. Now, I want you just to take a moment to look at this. I am not somebody that reads big books. Like, I absolutely hate them. I find them so intimidating. My attention span is like book, 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 book. I cannot stay with the same characters for over 900 pages. And this is amazing. And I read it in 2 days. That's how amazing it was. So I want to tell you all about it and have this video be specifically just related to reviewing it. But to start, I want to tell you about what adds a whole nother layer of awesomeness to this book, which is how I encountered it. So I know that loads and loads of you have heard of this book before, because as soon as I told people that I was reading it, they either said they loved it or they said it was one of their favorite books of all time or whatever, but I had never heard of it ever. And so it was an absolutely amazing discovery. And basically, my therapist and I have been sharing books, both like novels like this and nonfiction books about psychology or autism or whatever. But this was the first novel that she shared with me, and I am like eternally grateful because not only is it an amazing book that I want to tell you about, but it also stirred up all sorts of things that I want to discuss with her privately. The idea is this Australian guy gets in trouble with the law, hot mess of a young adult situation, ends up in prison, ends up escaping from prison, needs to figure out what the heck to do because like he is not going to be okay in his country when he just escaped prison and has done loads of crazy things and is a wanted man. So he ends up going to India, and that's where the story starts. And I think that one of the first lines in the book that is so, so beautiful, just like in the first chapter, is, "So begins this story, like everything else, with a woman, a city, and a little bit of luck." And that line, like, sorry, but it kind of reminded me of the beginning of Titanic. I just thought that it was a great line just to like introduce you to the story and get you really excited about what you were going to read. The rest of this book basically just is him and all his time in India and surrounding areas. There is some travel in here, but just him encountering a country that is not his own, him and his experience of being exiled from the place that he came from, and just all the amazing people that he meets and the experiences they have and how that ends up shaping him as a person. I loved this book for so many reasons. It was super plotty. So if you're a plot person, you got this, right? Like 900 something pages. How many pages is it? 933 pages, but plot heavy, you got this. This is fast paced. But also super, super beautiful, poetic, insightful. Like there's a whole problem I'll get to in a second with this book in regards to that. Plus, whatever you're interested in books, it is in here. So if you're interested in like travel writing, or if you're interested in romance, or just like thriller elements, fast paced craziness, literary fiction, like there's a lot of character development in here and a lot of inward focus in, even though there is such a plot heavy aspect to this book. That's what I will say about the plot. I don't really want to say anything else just because so much happens and I just want you to be there for the ride. Oh, before I get into some of the themes and some of the deeper concepts, I just want to give you a recommendation on how to read this book, which is audio all the way. This book, it takes place in India, obviously. And so there's this cast of just like international characters. There's loads of Indians in it, and just to hear like the actual Indian pronunciations and stuff like that, I just thought that it was a really, really well done audio. The narrator, I believe, is Australian, just like the main character. and yet can do all these accents from all over the world. Absolutely incredible experience audio-wise. The problem is if you go big, go home, do the audio, right? Okay. The problem is that there's so many like wise quotes and things that you want to like write down and journal about and have a little think about. And you can't do that when you're listening to the audio because yeah, you can bookmark it, but like I need to see the words so I can write them down or underline them. Guys, it was this whole thing. I was reading it with my eyeballs. I was reading it with my ears. I was going back and forth. I finished it with my eyeballs. I'm still listening to it with my ears or reading it with my ears just because I need to finish the audio. Like, just because I finished the book doesn't mean that I don't want to finish the audio. Okay, so let's dig a bit deeper and talk about some of the themes in this book. There are 3 kind of themes that I picked out that I want to discuss with you. And the first one is exile. So in this book, the main character, as I said, he was a wanted man. He escaped from prison. It's not going to fly for him to stay in Australia. So he goes to India and is in exile, basically from his country. But almost all of the people he encounters, they are also exiled people. They have all come to Mumbai or Bombay, depending on if you say the modern name of the city or the term that's used in the book. They have all come there as exiled people, and they all have their own stories. They're all searching for different things, and I just think that that theme of like exile is super powerful to reflect on, and also to dig a little bit deeper on and think about both external exiling and internal. Are there ways that you have exiled a part of yourself, or is there a way that your internal nature has been exiled by those around you? There's a lot to think about with this book. No one in the world of Bombay knew who I was. In that moment, in those shadows, I was almost safe. As a result of this whole exile experience, there's also the theme of identity. Who are you? What are you looking for in life? What do you want? And also, how do all these encounters that you have with those around you, with your environment, with everything that you just happen to come upon, how does that shape you and form you as a person? How does that develop your sense of who you are? And how does it get you to the state of becoming? I feel like this whole book, really, to be honest, is a state of just like becoming, or a journey of becoming and who you want to be as a person. There's this idea of how you're shaped by place, by people, and then also how you enter into this state of flow within yourself. So the book talks about a river within each of us, and just really tapping into that river, tapping into that sense of self and that sense of belonging, and just making a life that is just fully and completely yours. Finally, there's the theme of love, and there are a few steamy scenes in this book that were lovely. But just like love in general and all the different types of love as well. So like love for friends, love for lovers, love for children, and for those in your community, love for your community, no matter what that looks like, and just also like taking care of those around you. All those are kind of parts of this idea of love that is deeply, deeply present in the novel. I suddenly knew how much crying there was in me and how little love. As I stated before, the main character, I didn't even say his name, but it's Lin Baba. He has been through a lot. He has lived a life, so to say, but not always in the most positive ways, obviously. There is a lot of trauma in his life. There are holes that are areas of emptiness, I would say, in his soul, and he is a real person. I mean, it is based on a true story, but it's a novel. But just this idea of being a fully complete human being that has stuff in their past that has shaped them as who they are. There are these holes that sometimes you can never fill. However, the author, and really the main character, through the main character, I should say, basically says that the answer is love. That you can be exiled from others, from your community, from yourself, but the answer is love. And through love, we can just follow the river within and have this sense of becoming. So, with that being said, this book for me was not just a reading experience. It wasn't just me reading because it was exciting, and it wasn't just me reading for the characters or whatever was being discussed in the book, but it's like it stirred up so much within me that I like have a list that I need to take to therapy. But I will say that I deeply connected to a lot in this story, both like just through like random quotes that came up that made me encounter myself in a way that I hadn't before, and also in characters. So the character that I most connect with is Carla. There's a lot about her that is not like me. By the way, she's like the main like love interest of the story. There is this amazing, like mysterious sexy nature of hers that I do not have. A lot of her internal aspects, I feel like, were very similar to mine. Her approach to love and some of the stuff that she had gone through. And so I love this book just for the simple, like, text to self connections. But I would also say that I loved it because of the connections to other texts. If you are reading this book, the book that I would find most similar to it, or the author that I would most compare this to, is Leonard Pitts Jr. And I want to like pause and just like admit that the reason I'm saying this is because it's super plotty and super deep, but as much as I love this book, Leonard Pitts is 5,000 times better, 5,000 times more talented, and you should definitely read Leonard Pitts if you have not before you ever pick up this book. Like, this book is amazing. Obviously, I'm spending an entire video raving about it, but Leonard Pitts is top notch. Have to read him. So I would say the balance between plot and inwardness, interiority or something like that. Interiority. Anyway, yeah, similar. Okay. Other book that this made me think of was A Flat Place by Noreen Masud, which is basically like the book of my life. I don't know if there's another book that has impacted me as deeply as this one. But the reason that I say that is because I feel like the theme of exile, that was present in Shantaram also is very similar to the theme of exile that's present in this book. This book is nonfiction. It has nothing to do with India. The main character, or the author, I should say, grew up in Pakistan, and she lived a very isolated life as the result of her father's poor behavior. And she she was exiled from him, like completely, like he rejected her and sent her on her way. And she moved to the UK when she was 13, 16, I don't know, a young teenager situation. This book is a beautiful, beautiful, poetic, nature writing, beautiful, moving memoir of what it's like to live between cultures, as is Shantaram, and to have CPTSD and to build your sense of identity at a later age, or to realize how much it's continuing to evolve based on the places and people that you encounter, the ideas that you encounter. And I just love this book so much that it is quite possible that everything would make me think of it. But I just want to say this is another beautiful book. If for some reason you are late to my channel and have not heard me mention this 50,000 times, you should also pick up that. Also, if you're in the UK, specifically if you're in Norwich, she's coming there soon. I think it is May 24th to the Norfolk Norwich Literary Festival or something, Dragon Hall, I don't know, find the details if you're over in that area. I would be there in a heartbeat if I lived remotely close to the UK. Let me know if you've heard of this one, if you have read it, if you feel like you would commit to the whole thing. It's also an Apple series, so I will be watching and figuring out my life, and if I think that it is as good as the book, if it reminds me of the book, if it makes me feel like I'm living the story of the book yet again, I don't know. Anyway, I hope you read it. And if not, tell me your favorite book of 2025 so far. I should actually look at my list and see if this is my favorite or not. But anyway, I'm so grateful that I encountered this book because I had literally never heard of it before. I'm sorry I'm late to the party, but I'm really excited that I had the amazing reading experience that I did. And I will see you guys very soon.